There's a house in our town that no one dares to speak of, an old Victorian-style mansion perched on a hill, shrouded by thick, twisting trees. Most people pass by without a second thought, but for some reason I couldn't shake the curiosity. It's been abandoned for years, and yet, every time I walked by, I couldn't help but notice something. A faint light flickering through the upper window, just enough to make you wonder if someone was still living there. One evening, I decided to find out. My friends, Mark and Jenna, were hesitant at first, but after some convincing, they agreed to come with me. The mansion wasn't far from where we lived, about a 20-minute walk through overgrown streets and dense woods. When we finally arrived, the house loomed ahead, the windows dark and empty. The front gate, rusted and creaking, stood slightly ajar. We hesitated for a moment, but then Mark pushed it open. As we stepped onto the property, I felt an odd chill in the air, a cold that seemed to linger even on a warm evening. The house itself was massive, its once beautiful exterior now worn down with age and neglect. There was a faint smell of mildew in the air, but something else too, something metallic, almost like blood. We made our way to the back of the house where the door was half open. Without thinking twice, I pushed it open, and we stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and the floors creaked under our weight as we walked deeper into the house. The walls were lined with faded wallpaper, peeling in some places. It was as if time had frozen in this place, but something felt wrong. The house didn't just feel abandoned, it felt watched. We split up to explore, and I wandered into the dining room, my flashlight flickering against the walls. The room looked as if it hadn't been touched in decades, furniture covered in sheets, everything covered in dust. As I explored further, I noticed a door at the far end of the room, slightly cracked open. I walked toward it and opened it, only to be met by the dark staircase leading down into what looked like the cellar. Without thinking, I descended. The air grew colder, heavier with each step I took. At the bottom of the stairs, I could see nothing but darkness. I flicked on my flashlight and turned it toward the walls. The basement was vast, lined with old crates and discarded furniture. But it was the smell that caught me off guard, a sour, rancid odor that made me gag. It was like something had died down here. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw movement. I froze. A shadow passed between two old wooden crates, and my heart skipped a beat. I whispered to myself, "It's just a rat, just a shadow." But the shadow didn't make any sense. It was too large, too human. I called out for Mark and Jenna, but the words got stuck in my throat. The shadow moved closer, but it wasn't just a shadow. It was a figure, a tall, hunched figure draped in tattered clothing. I felt paralyzed as it slowly turned to face me. Its face was pale, gaunt, eyes hollow, staring straight through me. I opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. Suddenly, the basement door slammed shut, and I was plunged into total darkness. I heard slow, uneven footsteps approaching from behind, then a low voice, almost a whisper. "Leave. Now." I didn't need to be told twice. I bolted toward the stairs, but as I reached the top, I could feel the presence behind me closing in. My heart pounded in my chest, and I ran, faster than I'd ever run before. I banged on the basement door, but it was locked. I screamed for my friends, but the sound of my own voice was drowned out by the pounding of my heart. Finally, the door opened, and I rushed outside, gasping for air. I looked back at the house, but there was no figure at the window, no sign of movement, just the same dark, looming presence. Mark and Jenna were already outside, their faces pale, eyes wide. We didn't say a word, we just ran. We didn't stop until we were far away from that house. The next day, I returned with my parents to report the strange occurrence, but when we arrived, the house was empty. No signs of life, no lights flickering in the windows. And to this day, I've never returned. That house still stands on the hill, as empty and as silent as ever. But whenever I walk past, I swear I can feel the eyes of something or someone watching me from behind those dark windows.